Mommy and Daddy, Mommy and Daddy, Mommy and Daddy are watching a movie together.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Keith.
And I am Cory.
And we are married.
And we've decided to create this podcast, and we're calling it
He Saw?
She Saw, because marriage is like a seesaw.
Yeah.
Or no, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but it's always fun when you're married to Cory. So
Oh, gosh.
I'm the cheesy one, if you haven't noticed. But yeah, so we decided to make this podcast about movies because we love movies.
Just not the same kind.
No, not at all. So this was introduced to us very early on in our relationship when in the days of MySpace, you used to take these surveys. So they basically said, hey, you tell us your tastes in movies and you get your significant other to do as well, and we'll tell you how the relationship will go. And the result was?
You should break up immediately and run as far away from each other as you can.
Exactly. And we've been proven MySpace wrong since for about 13 years now. But we still don't like the same movies.
No. Well, when we got married, funny story, we each have like hundreds of movies. We combined all of our movies together, and we had 3 movies that were duplicate.
And I remember it was Anchorman.
Princess Bride.
And
I don't remember what the third one.
I don't remember what the third one was off the top of my head. Yeah. But yeah, so what we thought is, hey, we're 13 years together, let's figure out, let's make each other watch movies that we wouldn't normally watch and see what our thoughts were. So we thought we would take the creme de la creme. We would take our favorite movies. The
one that we're like excited about when we were younger or like coming of age.
Exactly.
Or 5 years ago.
And then... and it would have to be a movie the other one has zero interest in seeing.
Or hasn't seen,
just
or does not want to see.
Double thumbs down.
Yeah, double thumbs down.
Yeah, so we decided, so Cory was the one who had a movie that she really wanted me to see.
Oh, so, immediately I knew which movie it was going to be.
Okay, so what movie was this?
So, you get to watch Mannequin.
No.
It's starring Andrew McCarthy and Kim Cattrall. And this movie is just so close to my heart because when I was younger, my mom used to send us kids over on vacay to my grandparents' house during school breaks. We'd each get our own week. And it was like a vacation and a hotel grandma. And my grandfather and grandmother had HBO, and we didn't have HBO.
Oh, the habo.
So he had HBO, and my grandfather recorded Mannequin for me on the VHS, and it was real poor quality. Like, the tracking was awful. But I then proceeded to watch this movie probably 4,862 times, and I love it. It's one of my favorites, and I think that I haven't seen it in many years. So this will be interesting to see it again and see if I'm still as excited about it now as I was back when I was 10.
I cannot believe I'm going to watch that movie. I just, okay, so on my end.
You might have a good time, Keith.
Oh my God. Okay. So when I was thinking of the movie that I would like my lovely bride to see, I thought, okay, well, we'll stay in 1987.
Because you love a good theme.
I do.
And you need order in your life.
I do. And so I thought of one of my favorite movies of all time. Came out in 1987, and I loved this movie. It was one of the first rated R movies I got to go to by myself. Still not sure how we got in the theater, but because I was definitely not 17. But I went in and saw what would be, I had no clue, was going to become my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie of all time, which is The Running Man. And I know you movie snobs are like, that's not the best Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And I used to be
zero interest in this, by the way.
I used to be a movie reviewer, and so I understand Terminator 2 pretty much has to be your number one pick.
Oh, I loved Terminator 2.
And I know True Lies has its fans, and I know Predator and Commando and all these other movies. But for me, my favorite is just that over-the-top, comedic, dystopian future movie called The Running Man.
Okay, well, I have a question for you then, just
Sure.
real quick.
Okay.
So, because my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and I have one, is Total Recall. Because that's the best.
The movie that wishes it was The Running Man.
Wow. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
don't do that to that movie. Second of all, it's an amazing piece of cinema. And, I mean, granted, I think the reason why I loved it so much is because my high school drama teacher, Miss Allen, played the lady whose head exploded and said, "Get ready for a surprise."
Oh my gosh. It is a name and a head drop right there at the top. Look at you go.
Boom. So I think that's probably why I enjoy it so much. But I mean, I still love it. Like, and every time I watch it, you come in the room and your eyes roll back.
I just wish I was
Real
watching.
far.
I just wish I was watching The Running Man instead. It's an all right movie.
Well, so I'm just wondering, is it similar, or you're saying it's
Yeah, no, Total Recall is, I realize, is
Amazing.
more popular for some people, but it's similar vein. I would say
Okay.
it's a similar vein. I think The Running Man in many ways is superior, but
okay? Well, then I
I
guess
know
I'll
people
just
would argue with me, so that's okay. They can be wrong. It's cool.
okay. Well, I guess I'll just hold on to that hope
I cannot wait.
that it can be as good as that.
I never thought this would happen, that you would watch The Running Man. I cannot wait.
Well, I have to because this is the podcast theme that we're doing. So,
Uh-huh.
all right, let's do this.
So we did our intro. We were like, okay, I'm psyching myself up. I'm going to watch Mannequin. I don't want to, but I'm going to do it. So I say, hey, okay, let's go watch Mannequin. And my lovely and beautiful wife says,
Well, I don't have it.
oh my gosh, this is what I live with. I love her to death. But I was just like, what? How?
I'm so sorry that I didn't know where my grandfather's VHS recorded HBO copy
the whole
was.
point of this is like our favorite movies.
I didn't know we were going to do
Our
it right then.
favorite movies. My favorite movies. Yeah. Okay, let's watch it. Oh, I don't have it. It's okay. It's okay.
It's not because I don't love it. It's not one of my. It's like one of those things. Like, oh, I need to get Mannequin. It's like one of my favorites, and then you just never.
But if we do
it.
that, we would have 500 movies each.
Exactly.
So,
Like we've had to buy furniture for our movies. So I had to buy the DVD, the hard copy,
and
it arrived yesterday.
It arrived, and yeah, it was. I got serenaded to "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now." How did it go again?
Oh God, how did it go? Nothing's gonna stop me now from making you watch this movie. You're gonna love it. Nothing's gonna stop me.
It helps to see the ballerina move she added to it as well. So it was, but yeah. So we did watch it. I did watch Mannequin, and
And I was so excited I didn't even finish cleaning the kitchen, and I quickly put our child to bed because.
yes, thank goodness we didn't have her watch it with us, because I was
No.
like, should we have her watch it? And I was like, okay.
Well, do you want to hear how I felt about it?
Oh yeah, that's a great point. So how did you feel?
Because we want the other part of this is we have to see if it held
If
up.
it held up,
Yes.
I think they know by the singing.
198%.
Wow.
And it was great.
Math is not her strong suit. There's
It's
no such
not.
thing as 198%, but that's okay.
There
Keep
is
going.
to me. It's fine. No, it was everything that I remembered. The Belinda Carlisle song, I totally forgot. And I was like, oh my God, yes. But it just shot me back to when I was 10 years old. And I totally forgot that James Spader was in it. I was so excited.
He's in a very un-James Spader-ish role. But
I would
we'll get to
argue that his best role ever.
that. Oh, you're crazy.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm not.
Wow.
But yes, it held up, and it was so funny. Just I don't know about you guys, but movies where I have seen them 4,000 times, I remember lines, and I'll say them in public, and nobody else will get it until the one day someone gets it, right? And
those are
answers
your
you
people.
back, and then it's oh, these are my people. But even just something stupid like the way James Spader ran down the stairs, and he's putting spit in his hair and trying to fix his hair because his hair is messed up as he's running down the stairs. I remember that's burned in my memory, and it means nothing to any of you, I realize. But
So it's what-
absolutely held up. So excited. I'm gonna watch it again probably tomorrow.
Oh, dear God.
When you're I want to watch a movie, and then you spend an hour trying to figure out which movie you're gonna watch, it's not gonna happen because I'm just gonna watch that again.
Okay.
Because I love this movie.
So for those who haven't seen it, it is exactly what it looks like on the poster. It's about this kind of dreamer.
He's an artist.
A wistful artist who he
lives in a loft.
Keeps explaining. Yeah, a horrible loft,
which I don't know how he affords.
With like big holes everywhere. But anyway, so it's this dreamer. So Andrew McCarthy's the star. He's this kind of wistful, quirky artist who can't keep a job, who falls in love with. He's always trying to create. Who falls in love with the mannequin who magically comes to life. It's like that's what's going on. Yes. So yeah, and so the movie is really just the plot is very simple. Basically, it's like a Pygmalion. Andrew McCarthy can't keep a job. One of his jobs is to make mannequins, and so he makes this mannequin, gets fired
because he takes 3 days to make the mannequin.
Yeah, it's like, I can make 3 or 4 of these. I can make 3 or 4 of these a month. And he's like, you need to make 3 or 4 of these a week. And so
you're fired.
So he's just not made. I mean, for those who had like jobs in their early 20s, late teens, and you didn't understand how jobs really work, like, he's still very much in that mode.
You know what? I feel for him though, because he's just trying to be creative. And so every job he gets, he's just really like, I get it. It's like, I don't want to sit at a desk and not be creative.
It's why a lot of people hate being someone's first boss. In some of my first jobs, I didn't get it either. So he makes a mannequin, loses his job, loses a bunch of other jobs, and then by a twist of fate, saves Estelle Getty,
who is lovely.
He saves her life, and so she gives him a job, and lo and behold, the mannequin is there.
She gives him a job at her department store.
At her department store where the mannequin happens to be, and then we have chicanery, and then we have an end credit. So, that's basically the whole...
Wow, you just blew by the whole thing.
It is that deep of a plot. So so there were things I liked about this movie. So I know you think this is James Spader's best role.
It is.
And granted, I have not seen any Andrew McCarthy movie in literally decades. But I thought this was his best role. Like, I thought he had a lot of... it was very much a Fred Astaire, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin type interpretation.
Well, there was a lot of hat work.
It was kind of like Sam Rockwell is in all of his movies.
Oh, that's
he's very Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Can't dance like Sam because no one can dance like Sam. But it's the same type of quirky charisma, which usually he would just lean in. His other roles, I remember him just leaning in on his looks. Kind of, it's like, well, of course you love me because I'm Andrew McCarthy. And this one, it was like, oh, he has a personality. And McCarthy, I thought was great. I thought he was very charismatic, and I think there was a definite tone to this movie, a very farcical, over the top, heightened tone to it. And I had real problems with Kim Cattrall's character, but she
was trying really hard to be just like, oh, I'm just interesting and I want to do everything and I just want to have fun.
Yeah, she was the total like,
I'm so carefree, look at me.
I mean, it's the 80s.
Even my hair is carefree.
So she's the hot, I'll do anything girl that just happens to fall in love with the main character. But she does a good job with it. James Spader, again, not my favorite role he's ever done. But I thought he totally nailed the tone. And I think, he nails the tone. And then who else? Hollywood. And G.W. Is it G.W. Gary? G.W. Barry?
Not Bailey.
He's the guy from Police Academy. The main police guy in Police Academy. Not the commissioner, but the main bad guy. And he plays like an incompetent version of that character. It's kind of like if Roscoe P. Coltrane and his character from Police Academy merged, yes. That would be what he was.
G.W. Bailey.
G.W. Bailey.
I was right.
You're so smart. So
Thanks. Beauty and
doing that type of role, like it's like I am way too much of a thinker, but when you do roles like that, at least in my very limited experience, it's tough because you need to be funny. It's completely ridiculous, yet you've got to seem human. There has to be something grounded in your performance. Or it just looks like you're just...
because, the character has to be doing it for a purpose, and it matters, and it's important to them.
Yeah, and James Spader, nails it. And, so... so it's like, is he a comical character? Obviously, clearly.
But he's also very serious.
But I saw nothing of his other characters in that. He was 100% portraying that character. No veil, no mask. It was very well done. So there were things I didn't that I didn't like about the movie, though. Just to be full disclosure,
I'm shocked.
It is not like there was no real. I'm used to like mythology movies where like you give me the rules to this universe, and as long as I clearly see those rules, I'm totally with it. And no, this is just and
because the mannequin can only come to life for him, nobody else.
Yeah,
so there are a bunch of scenes where,
except when she kicks people or when she decides to flip them off or when it's like one of those things like the rules of the universe don't stick. But but they, in fairness, they let you know from the beginning. And my historian mind, heart, and soul was just crushed in the opening scene. But they let you know. They're like, hey, if you're expecting us to be in any way accurate, you're high because this is Mannequin. So it's this year, sometime past lunch or something like that. It's got that early joke. And, and Kim Cattrall, very charismatic as just this.
But she's wearing like
ideal
coral
girl.
Lipstick, and she's supposed to be an Egyptian.
Yeah,
princess.
And like oh man, I was just morally offended at like her trying to be Egyptian with her mom character is just like total, obviously not in any way Egyptian mother with clothing which clearly does not make sense, and she's wearing a money
very
wrap.
like a show musical, like on stage musical version.
It's very
of that.
It is we're just having fun. We're just watching a
Just
show.
go with it.
Look at how cute Kim is.
Just enjoy it.
Look at how cute
Belinda Carlisle
look at how
is
cute
playing.
Andrew is. Like some of the actors just didn't hit the bar. They were very
Are you talking about Roxy?
there. She really reminded me of a young Maya Rudolph. Like I could totally see that.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
But Maya Rudolph can pull off lines and stuff.
I think Maya Rudolph, if she had a time machine, would have been perfect. And the thing was, is I don't.
And I think I knew when I was younger that the lines were like a little off and funny.
Yeah, and like as an actor, again with super limited experience, it's like you rely on the director to tell you, let's take that again.
Well, maybe that was the best take.
Yeah, well, but I mean,
I just felt like I was in acting 101.
Again, I've never done anything huge, but like I've had times with directors who have been like, I wish they would have stopped me with the line reading. Yeah. I wish they would have said something, and because I had other options and I didn't go with it, and I really wish I could take them back. But she, and then like the rival department store, like Estelle Getty nails it. Like
yes. Prince and Company is her store.
Prince and Company is the good guy store.
Illustra.
You can tell because it's named Prince. Like so, that's the good one.
And it's old fashioned.
And then Illustra is kind of like the '80s new one.
LeMay.
And kind of everybody who works there is like they get there in a comedy. And they're trying, but it's just almost like they're kind of winking too much at the camera, like and. Whereas the other characters, like many of them at Prince and Company, it's like they're playing it like, this is just who I am.
Genuine.
This is genuine.
Yeah. But everybody else at Illustra is kind of like, hey, this is funny, right? I'm over the top.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like, yeah, I'm funny, right? And it's like, no. So Roxy, who is Andrew's girlfriend at the beginning, she is constantly being hit on very aggressively and sometimes like touched and stuff like that. And the
straight
thing
up harassed.
Which doesn't make it completely cringeworthy is that I never got the sense she was in danger.
No, and she just like hauls off and slaps him
and just nails these guys. But it's like it was like one of those things where I can understand that. I mean, that doesn't age well. You're not allowed to do that anymore. And like so, I felt
another reason I'm glad we didn't let the 6-year-old watch it.
Yeah. So it's kind of and I know some people are like, oh, it's just boys being boys or whatever. It's like no, it's not. They're being creeps. And the thing that's
I'm glad she threw him down the stairs.
Yeah, that was problematic. One of the other things that that I think, again, depending on who you are, I could totally see you getting offended by this. There's a really strong character who fits in this farcical universe is this guy named Hollywood, who's just an over-the-top, effeminate gay guy who's a friend of Andrew at the department store. And he is completely over top. It's very like Nathan Lane in Birdcage, like just very, and it's one of those things where it's like,
I love him, and I loved him when I was little too. Like I loved him.
Yeah,
I loved his sunglasses. I loved his car cover that he takes 20 minutes to cover up the car in an emergency.
Yeah, I think you could watch it today in that and like everyone knows now that hey, not all gay people are like that.
Right.
And
this was the stereotypical 80s.
And I think one of the issues again is that like one of the things that balances out Birdcage is, number one, Nathan Lane is always a bit of a drama queen, but he's not all. There's different levels to it.
Right.
And you have other representation. You have Robin Williams, his husband, who's like gay but is different. And so like if that's your only representation of what gay people are like, I can understand being offended by it. Mm-hmm. And so
I do like, and we were talking about this, and I didn't catch this when I was younger, mm-hmm. but they did have like where Felix, the security guard, is being
C.W. Bailey, and
he's saying terrible things, and Andrew McCarthy's character, Jonathan Switcher is his name, like sticks up for
him. Yeah,
and I thought that was
he's
cool.
Definitely an ally, and and throughout, like there's no. Andrew's just, there's a lot of acceptance in this movie. Maybe too much for what would be in a workplace.
What do you mean when he takes the mannequin into a closet?
Yeah, where everybody's like, oh, hey, he's banging the mannequin again, in the bathroom.
Or when he like wakes up and he's naked and he's in a pile of furs.
And he gets applause. So I think, so if you would be offended by it, I would understand your point.
But I loved him.
But I thought he was a great character.
And he was like living in the world.
Like Spader and like Andrew McCarthy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't realize that until you just said that. But yeah, everybody at Prince and Company was very authentic and like living in that world. And everybody at Alestra was kind of like,
hey, I'm a comedian. You should laugh. That's kind of what's going on.
Can I just real quick, the part of the movie that also I didn't catch when I was 10, maybe, I don't know, but I laughed really hard, was when he goes to Chez Jacques, the restaurant that he had accidentally burned down. He almost burned down when he worked there. And he runs into the guy that made her D, and he's like, oh man, your eyebrows are growing back really nice.
I know.
And then he's like, oh wow, they really rebuilt that balcony.
Oh yeah, I love that scene. Like the whole thing with you got the night hair on. Like it was just like
the night hair during
like
the daytime.
That was like I've never seen Andrew McCarthy be that witty before.
So funny.
Which he probably
and then
is
surprise, he sets the restaurant on fire again on accident.
So there's a lot more slapstick, like farcical, like a lot more slapstick than I was expecting. It's not like, it's kind of like Dumb and Dumber adjacent. Like it's not. So like if you're a guy,
really that much.
Not quite. That's why it's adjacent.
It's like a caper kind of like.
Yeah.
Because you got like the security guard like.
It's this type
always following him around.
Caper is a good word for it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, just kind of farcical that you would see more in like Vacation would be like kind of that type of vein of movie where it's just ridiculous.
I don't know if you know this about me. I'm going to tell you something about myself.
Oh, okay.
I love movies that are set in a closed store after hours.
I did not know that.
Yeah, where the heart is, how she lives at Walmart, at nighttime.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, well, maybe you'll have to watch it.
Oh, no.
And then Career Opportunities.
I totally have seen that movie. Oh, Career Opportunities. I never saw that movie. I'm guessing
they're trapped inside of a Target at night. I just like the whole thing of like having the store all to yourself and like getting to like, get out the camping gear and set up like, I don't know, like it's cool. Like you can open the stuff and use it, and like no one's around.
And
like,
just so you know, having
it's really appealing to me.
Having worked in retail, they totally love it when you do that. They totally love you when you open up and wear clothing.
Or when you like unfold something and then you just put it back in another section.
Yeah, so that was, and that was one of the other, I mean, so you just got to understand it's a farce. Like from again, not a super businessman, but again, like when someone's shares drop in 2 days by 89%, the head slap was just real. And and the idea of like, oh, hey, this one person, and again, time is very loose in this movie. You can never quite tell how, because there's like montages and you're like, is this one
night? There's so many montages of like dressing up and
I only remember
dancing.
I only remember one big montage song. But
I feel like they were always playing.
So the concept of a department store doesn't have any customers and one window display within like 2 days like has totally let this department store make more money.
He becomes like the wonderkin because he and his mannequin are creating cool window displays, and that's starting to bring the customers to Prince and Company, and Alestra does not like that.
it would make more sense to me if he and the mannequin were doing the entire store every night. Like if you had like that elf,
like Elf.
like elf moment where like that would make more sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, look at this Windows display, and you walk in and you're like, oh wow, it's so cool.
I
Like
felt like, you don't have to do a window every night. Like, can't you leave it up for a couple days?
That was the thing too. It was like I've only helped with window display a couple times. There's no way in Hades you're doing that every night. Like the amount of timing.
It just seemed like a lot.
And
and
gosh.
then like the one night where they're like, oh my God, we're running out of time. What are we gonna do? And then he has an idea, and then he comes up like
and they're like, oh, we don't have time.
We don't have time, and there's like this like city bus that they somehow got
which they
a hold of.
created.
It's like, yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, you didn't have time, so you macrame city paper mache city bus.
But yeah, and again, it was like it's a movie that you just if you just don't you just go with it. You just don't think hard because there's several things about it where it's just like historically or business wise or where it's just like okay.
When James Spader asks Felix if he'd ever jumped out of a plane and landed on his face, that was hilarious.
And he says yes.
And he says, well, yeah, like
without realizing, like, well, yeah, of course, that's just part of basic training. So, yeah.
So many good lines.
Yeah, so I thought, so I mean, like, do you feel like there's anything else we need to cover that? I mean, there's other, both of us can talk.
Well, at the very end, I think you were really shocked and worried about my reaction at the very end. Oh,
yes. So I don't know. I mean, only people who know us would be listening to this, but you may or may not know that Cory has a tender heart, and she just tends to cry. Happy cry, sad cry, excited cry. So our
6-year-old is so sick of it. Like when I'm reading Babysitter's Club to her, she can tell because I do this. She goes, "Are you crying again?"
So I still don't quite understand why you were crying at the end of Mannequin.
Because I just felt just so many.
I mean, nothing's going to stop us now.
And like, I don't know, like my childhood. I'm crying right now thinking about it.
If there's no lovers, we'll still have each other.
Okay.
It's like. Okay. But yeah, it was it was a sweet movie.
Yeah.
I think that like if I had one of the things for this is like, okay, one of us has to be double thumbs up, the other one has to be double thumbs down. Yeah. So I would say that I'm probably one thumb up, one thumb in the middle. Like,
okay.
I kind of want to give it 2 thumbs up,
wow.
but it's not quite.
It's high praise.
Well, but there's definite reasons for me not to. So it's like, so it's not. So it's like, am I? I know I'm going to be watching this movie at least twice over the next couple of days because Cory's going to want to put it on, and like I'll sit down and watch.
I'm not going to make you watch it. If you don't want to.
Yes, famous last words. But yeah, so there's like. So I'll probably stop by and because she loves it when I just stand and watch a couple of scenes and don't sit down next to her. But I'll probably watch a few scenes.
Of questions.
Except I'll know all the answers. So
yeah, they don't have to ask questions.
So yeah, so it's so if somebody wants you to watch this movie, I'm like yeah, just know going in it's a farce and like
just get some wine and some cheese.
Yeah, or hit your head, fall out of a plane and hit your face a few times so you're a little daisy, a little concussed, and you'll love it.
Do you have any questions about what you saw, that maybe I could help you with, or do you feel like we've covered?
I feel like nothing really was outside of not understanding the laws of business and
the laws of
and the other thing
coming to life.
Again, the other thing is just I realize they have to fall in love because it's in the script, just kind of like Romeo and Juliet. Why are they?
She's lived a bunch of lifetimes to find him. Yeah,
and again through very bad histrionics, like the people she's been with, it's like Andrew McCarthy was it, huh? Really, out of all the different people, okay. I mean, they're very cute together.
Well, Keith, but the gods guided him in making her.
Yeah, that was.
And then he brought her to life, and so it was destiny.
You see, that's why you shouldn't think too hard because with everything I know about mythologies and different religions, it's just like
she explained it.
Again, it's one of those things. If you don't think too hard, you're like, okay, yeah, sure, I can totally see that. Andrew McCarthy, Kim Cattrall, what that McCattrall? What would that be? What would be their
McCattrall? Their celebrity date.
Their stating
name.
Yeah, what would their celebrity?
Well, it wouldn't be their last names.
Andrew and what's her first name again? Kim.
Cam Drew.
Kim Drew, yeah.
Actually, it would be Emmy and Jonathan Switcher, so it would be Jemmy.
Jemmy, I think you, as always, are right. So
Yeah,
there we go. And that's Mannequin.
Not that I need to ask you, but Keith, does The Running Man hold up?
Oh, it completely holds up. I was really afraid because it's a dumb action movie. I know what it is, but I just liked it so much but I wasn't sure. It's like, do I just like it because, I snuck in to see a rated R movie in the movie theater, or did I like it because it really was a good movie? And I think it was a really good movie. And I think especially movies that could be about the future, that they can go really badly. And I felt like just in general, it's like, it was for 2017, but they really, most movies are completely off. And I felt like this one wasn't too far off. So anyway.
Yeah, no, it's just funny because it's like, this is the future. Oregon Trail on your TV. It's the Infonet.
What does a better job than Total Recall? I mean, that's...
I'm so sorry. That's wrong. But, okay, let's continue.
Oh, all right.
So you think it held up, and
I
you
do.
were excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I knew that you were excited about it.
Why?
Because you said you were excited about it, like, 4 times within, like, the first, like... Not even before the song started. Well, the song started, and I'm so excited.
I was geeking out at the 90s DVD menu.
Yes.
So, yes,
that's true. You were, yeah.
I was a goner. I was 13 all over again. So.
And so then the theme song started, and you, like, lost your mind. And I was like, oh, my God.
I got in the song.
So glad I have champagne in my hand right now.
So this is always interesting to figure out. So how would you describe, Cory? How would you describe The Running Man? So...
Okay, well... You're lucky that I I teach literature at times because I recognize right away that this is dystopian fiction.
Yes,
and that in the distant future of 2017, and if it's dystopian, then the government controls everything, and life is not so great for poor people, and it's wonderful for rich people. But there's only a handful of people who get to do what they want, and the government controls the narrative. And so there is I don't know if he's an MP or just a police officer or military. I don't know what he is, but his name's Ben Richards, not Richardson, Richards, right? Yeah. Ben Richards. And he is in a helicopter with all of his little buddies, and he gets orders to fire on unarmed civilians. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And so immediately, because is that a police state? Yeah. So because it's a police state, and it's dystopian, everybody in the helicopter turns on him, and then he, that's not okay. And so then the government and the media twist it to make it look like he actually killed all those people that he didn't want to kill.
Total totalitarian state move. Yes.
Total totalitarian.
Yes.
Which is just like 1984, which I won't go into because...
Except better because it's a movie I like, but yeah.
Wow. I haven't seen 1984, the movie. I've only read the book. But anyway... So, what happens is he goes to prison work camp, and it's like a year or so later because he has a beard.
Very gulag totalitarian. Go on.
Also 1984. And so he meets up with these guys. I don't know their names. I called them Glasses, and I thought that other guy was from Boston Legal, but he's actually from Homicide: Life on the Street. So Glasses, and... Glasses and Homicide: Life on the Street and him, they go ahead and, set up this ruse, and they escape from the prison camp because Glasses is a computer expert, and so he takes down the perimeter, which will come into play later. So they escape, and they go out into the real world, and they meet Fleetwood Mac and Dweezil Zappa.
I think one of my favorite parts of that is that, so the guy from Fleetwood Mac is... some sort of makeup's going on. Can't quite tell.
Yeah, we couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if he was like real, if he was old, or if he was like makeup, like they makeup old.
I think
him.
Half and half. I do like that. Right after we meet him, they all decide that they can go their own way. I think that was hilarious.
Did you look that up?
I'm telling you, I was like, they did that song, didn't they?
And then I was such a dad joke. Oh my gosh.
Nice.
So speaking of dad jokes, we'll get to it. But so he meets up with those guys. They decide they're going to go their own way. Go your own way.
Go your own way.
Thank you. So Glasses and Not Boston Legal are going to go join the resistance.
Yes.
And Mr. Ben Richards is like, no thanks, I don't do politics. So what happens is he goes his own way. God. He's looking for his brother who's going to help him get out. But then he meets a woman who's living in his brother's old apartment. Her name is Amber. She works for the government, and she likes to exercise in negligee and pantyhose, which I found weird and gross and strange.
Yeah, I did find it also a little disturbing what Arnold was wearing in that scene. Like, I've just got to say, as a man,
oh, the floaty white boxers.
Then I'm excited that floaty white boxers.
Was it peephole?
And thankfully there was no peeping at any point. But having been at 24-hour fitness off and on for the past 20 years, I've never seen a lingerie workout girl in pantyhose.
However, we have seen a guy in tight jeans, and pointy dress shoes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kicking barbells.
And making noises.
And talking. So we
left.
Yeah, we skipped arm day that day.
And that's why I don't like to go to the gym.
Yeah.
One of the reasons. But anyway, so she's working out in her house.
Yep.
And he realizes, she's got a travel pass. Which I don't know if that's like a passport or I don't know what that is. So, because she works for the government. So he decides, okay, well, I'm going to use you. I'm going to blackmail you and use your travel pass to get out of here. Which I don't understand because they get to the airport and, they only have one travel pass and somehow he makes it past, the guy who's checking the passes because he's acting like, this woman's a pain in the ass, which was great.
Yeah, that was that. I felt that was, it's a standard, like, hey, hey, I'm a white guy, I can go where I want. So let me just, and I thought a lot of the future they got relatively right,
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you.
Yeah, go for it.
But I did want to say that, yes, because they got like Alexa. And the other thing that I thought was funny is that the internet is called the Infonet, but it looks like the Oregon Trail, and it's attached to your television.
Yeah, and strangely, no one dies from dysentery in this movie. I was a little disappointed with that when I saw the Oregon Trail.
And there was no wagons.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she actually rats him out at the airport, and so he takes off running, and they catch him with a net, which I thought was strange, but they catch him.
You would think that in real life you'd run diagonally, but he had to get caught for the movie. So
right,
anyway, yeah.
But they caught him with a net.
Yeah.
So anyway, they catch him, and then we meet. His name is very, very beat you over the head. His name's Damon Killian, which I think is like the most blatant name in the. It's like, I wonder what you're about, Damon Killian. And he runs a show called The Running Man, and he's played by Mr. Richard Dawson, the guy who French kisses old ladies on Family Feud.
And I just got to say, that was one of the things that was a total mark-out moment for me, is when I was describing it, I don't know why I didn't mention it. Like, Richard Dawson is like such a wonderful key part of this movie to me. He's like, he's I don't know how much, kind of like Arnold, I don't know how much acting he was doing. It was kind of like... But it was fun again to see his game show persona, like, just turned up to 11. So I really got the sense watching him, like, he's like, oh yeah, I know this character,
Yeah, all I could just really, like, if I'm remembering, it was just pinkies up all the time and just like old man open mouth,
and everyone's darling, and everything is just
gross, gross. So what happens is he wants Ben Richards on his next episode of his show, and Ben Richards doesn't want to do that. He's like, screw you, I'm not doing it. So then he says, okay, well, you know what? Your friend Glasses and your friend Not Boston Legal are going to go in your place if you don't do it. So he agrees to do it. Guys, have you heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free, which is a big plus because I don't know about you, but I don't have any extra money laying around. They have tools that you can use to record or edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. I haven't used the phone one, but I have used the computer, and it's super easy once you get the hang of it. Also, Anchor does all the hard work. It distributes your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and so many more. And you can make money from your podcast. No minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. He ends up going on the show. And so then the twist is that, well, first of all, the show has these solid gold dancers with front G-strings and back G-strings. And they're just dancing their hearts away.
There's nothing but a G thing all over the place whenever the...
Oh my God. We're going to do dad jokes today.
Oh, it's an Arnold movie. Okay. He gets me in the mood to do dad jokes.
So, which we saw at the end, at the credits, that Paula Abdul did the choreo for this movie. And I thought it was interesting that there's this, deadly, murderer, and these women, these solid gold fly girl dancers are just, doing 1980s twerking, and they're, all over him, which I thought was weird.
Hey, 2 steps forward and 2 steps back.
So, all right.
Opposites attract. So,
So anyway, so he gets there. They strap him into the little cage car thing that's going to send him through the tunnel. And they go, guess what? We got glasses in, not Boston legal. They're going to go with you anyways. And then Ben Richards says to Killian, I'll be back. And what does Killian say back to him?
He says, only in the reruns, or only in a rerun. Because he's a cold hard snake, just so you kind of establish.
Stop. But I just wanted to say, I'll be back. I was like, oh, okay, I wonder which one was first. And I looked it up, and Terminator was first. So that was a little shout out to Terminator.
Well, if I may, we have this really weird hallway scene. Because Amber, she walks by him, and, her best friend is with her, because she works at the station. And when they see him, she's like, oh my gosh, that guy could rape you and kill you, or kill you then rape you. And that's what makes Amber say, you know what? He didn't rape me violently.
Or kill me.
He might be actually a good guy.
Yeah, so she kind of starts to have a turn. So then they get shot into the game. And I guess how the game works is, and this was interesting to me because everybody who's watching the game, again, it's dystopian. It's dystopian, so we have to rally up the common folk and whatever, right? But Super Bowl level excitement and cheering and fans and watch parties and it was funny because it was a 3-hour show, and I feel like it happens every day. So this happens all the time.
We weren't sure, yeah.
And we've got a big screen and the common people's work camp, so everybody's watching it.
Yeah, it's very very event television. So they make a point that it's live, which will come into play later on.
Yeah.
So,
well, and also they have a wrap-up show afterwards, and I'm just oh my God, how long is this show? So anyway, they are in.
We don't watch the Super Bowl normally, so Cory has a whole new world of sports that she doesn't.
I just like to eat. That's all I do.
Okay.
At the Super Bowl. But anyway, and the commercials are good. But
so what do you...
Puppy Bowl actually is a better... Anyway.
What do you think the rules are of the game were? What is the
Well,
setup?
so they get shot into, I guess, a bad part of town. And so there's, weird quadrants. And then they have these guys called stalkers are sent in to kill the people that are in there. And so what ends up happening is, however, that... Mr. Ben Richards and his not Boston legal and, not glasses. Glasses get stuck. But he keeps killing these stalkers that have been on the show for years and years and years. And this has never happened before. And he's killing all of the stalkers. And so as they're doing all of this, Glasses somehow notices, oh, you know what? I bet we could basically hijack the uplink, the network uplink, so we can use the resistance can take over the signal.
So what do you think they have to do to win? What's the game part of it? So they get shot into
the guys who won last season. I mean, if they've never killed the stalkers before, I guess they've just were able to stay alive to the end. I guess. Yeah,
I didn't gather that. I just gathered that not that a stalker had never been killed before, but that it was just super rare.
Yeah.
And so if they survive, they get sent to Hawaii.
But Ben Richards turns it on his head, and he kills the guys that are coming for him. Mm-hmm. And so then the crowd is starting to turn into Ben fans, and that is not okay with the government. And then another thing that happens is, as you were saying, Amber, since she has access, she works for the government/network. She is in the archives of the footage, and they just have everything recorded.
Which, not on a hard drive, but very alphabetical. Very, very, very
right
well
away.
Maintained.
Right away, she just flips right to it. It's like Ben, Butcher, Ben, Bakersfield, Butcher, Ben, Bakersfield, which is the incident that happened. And she sees that actually, the unedited footage is that he didn't do all of that.
The movie is not subtle. It's here's the footage and here's the unedited footage.
So then she gets, of course, caught. And so then Mr. Richard Dawson, since, Ben keeps killing the stalkers, he's like, oh, well, we'll just send her in there. So they send her on in there. It ends up right where they were. They've been in the game for at least a half an hour because they've killed people already. Yeah, and she just shows up there with them.
Yeah, it's kind of like whenever you watch a sci-fi movie and someone's on a spaceship and they just happen to land right where they're supposed to, on the whole planet.
On the whole planet.
To find the one person. So. Yeah.
So she immediately finds them, and then they kind of, she gets split up, so she goes off with Glasses while Ben and Not Boston Legal are trying to kill the stalker people. And Glasses realizes, oh, we're in the area where the password is. And so he's working out the password, and he's like, oh, you need to remember these numbers. And I immediately had a panic attack because I can't remember numbers, and I hate poker, and I just, I can't.
We have a great poker story.
Yeah, one of our first dates was, he didn't know I was having a panic attack inside my head because I was pretending like I was having fun playing poker.
And I just happened to start helping her. I was like, oh, she's letting me help her.
No, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I hate this. So anyway, I'm not dumb. I just have a problem with math and numbers.
Right. You're very smart.
I'm really good at reading, though. Anyway, so spoiler alert, Glasses doesn't make it.
Well, he is a skinny, smart character wearing glasses in the movie. So in the 80s, his fate was pretty much sealed.
Yeah.
So.
He was in the mainframe. So he doesn't make it. And then also, skipping ahead a little bit, Not Boston Legal doesn't make it either. And so they're like, oh, avenge us. And they're like, okay. So Amber and Mr. Ben Richards are together running through, killing more stalkers and doing one-liners that are dad jokes. And then finally, by the way, I wanted to say, so the guy who's the producer from Wayne's World, Wayne's World guy, exact same character, looks exactly the same. I don't think he's ever changed. So what happens is they lose Amber and Ben in the game because the Resistance has kind of snagged them and put them in an area. And so they lost him, but they can't let the world know that that's what happened. So what they do is they do some sort of camera trickery to make everybody think that they actually take out a Mr. Jesse Ventura he plays Mr. Captain America, who is a retired stalker. He comes in, he gets sent in to kill the stunt doubles. And so the rest of the world thinks that Amber and Ben are dead, and Amber and Ben join up back with Mr. Fleetwood Mac and Dweezil Zappa. They hack into the network uplink, and they play their own video, and it's the real footage, right? Because Amber's like, oh, guess what I have? I have the real footage, but they've been, she's been strip searched probably and dressed, and so I was like, where was she hiding that?
It's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, so it's kind of left to the not very creative imagination.
Yeah. Well, it was funny.
2 or 3 spots she would have put
I was so busy writing down where did she have that, and I missed that Arnold actually asked her the same question.
It's an Arnold movie. I'm just glad we didn't have to watch him retrieve it. So
out of his nose.
That was probably
gross.
Yeah.
So anyway, they clear out the television studio because they've just shown the truth to everybody. And I was wondering, now, when did they have time to edit this footage together and make this little package?
Video production can be very quick. You go to weddings and you go, by the time you go from the ceremony to the reception. So a lot of it,
right.
So a lot of it, I think, was just kind of the dystopian idea
of a wedding
of
videographer.
Of hey, everything's being taped at all times. So we're But I do hate that when a movie is like, oh, hey, let me have the
Yeah, because it was like all the same footage from the movie at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, that happens, and then he ends up facing off again with Mr. Damian Killian, and doesn't end up so good for Damian Killian. Sends him down through the tunnel. He goes headfirst into a billboard of himself, and I don't know why he bursts into flames, but he bursts into flames.
Because it's the 80s, that's why. We need to have as many explosions, logical or not, possible.
So basically that's the movie, and of course Amber and Mr. Ben Richards, I guess, fall in love because they kiss or whatever. I don't know if they fall in love, but they kiss. And
But were there things you liked about the movie?
yeah, well, so okay, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, as you keep saying, and you know, I find him entertaining, so it was fine. It's not my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Total Recall is still my favorite, I think.
Yeah.
And so, but you know, it was all right. And did you know, by the way, that you can actually spell check Schwarzenegger?
I think when he moved to this country, they tried to force him to change his name.
Yeah.
And he refused. He steadfastly refused, and he told his agent, everyone will be able to spell my name.
Well,
And I'm sorry,
it's
Arnold,
on spell check.
Arnold, we can't.
But anyway, the one-liners, they're ridiculous. I found the script online, and I went through it, and I wrote down all the one-liners. So
Oh my
we
gosh.
can do that later.
How many hours did that take?
Not too long. I really did love the actress who played Amber. I thought she was great. And I liked a little, like, the relationship between, how playful it was between them. Like, when they were at the airport, and she was like, I'm going to throw up on you if you don't. And he was like, go ahead. No one will notice with this horrible shirt I'm wearing. Because he was, like, wearing a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. As long as the woman has power, then that type of playful banter is okay.
Yeah,
And
like
when-
she definitely was like a match for him.
Yeah, and I think some guys like misread that and like, oh, I don't mean anything. It's like, yeah, you're like 4 times her size, so you got to make it.
But I did kind of like, he was just like, he kept throwing her around, you know, like they were brother and sister, and that wasn't too cool, you know. And then he acted like she was such a pain in the ass. And then even after they decide that they're going to like each other and they kiss, like, he grabs her neck as they're walking out, like he's arrested her. And I was just kind of like,
he's an alpha male. That's kind of it. Yeah, that's.
I'm going to admit something, and I hope that you don't make me never live it down, is that the theme song is a little catchy.
Yeah. Da-na-na.
Okay.
Da-na-na.
I loved the solid gold Fly Girl dancers. I loved them.
It was weird how that worked, actually. Like, it shouldn't work.
It was so weird.
But I think part of it probably does have to do with the choreography of it.
Yeah,
like,
well, because it was so Paula Abdul after. Like, I was like, I recognize this, and that's why. I will say my absolute favorite part of the entire movie was when Amber got shot into the game, and her hair is just, like, all over the place and in her face. She immediately ties her hair in a knot, which is exactly what I do all the time. And what like, whenever I have to do something, what do?
Yeah.
I take the,
right up in the bun.
scrunchie off my arm, and sometimes I just tie my hair up. Sometimes I just take a pen and stick a pen in it, like whatever I can to get it off my neck. So
There was a good amount of self-awareness I felt in this movie. Richard Dawson being a TV guy, and like Jim Brown. So like, you know, Jesse the Body Ventura
that was not
playing
his hair.
Captain Freedom. No, that
was
wasn't.
a terrible wig.
It was not. But yeah, him being Captain Freedom. I'm Jim Brown, who I know goes over most people's head. The Fireball is like
the skunk hair.
one of the best NFL running backs of all time. Who was a civil rights guy. It was kind of like, in some ways, self-aware, but there was no winking at the camera, which is what I enjoy. Like, if you're going to wink at the camera, you just say it and keep going. The jokes they were making, they just kept playing it straight. And so if you know, and you can laugh. And if you don't know, then it still works within the story.
So yeah, that was the things I liked. What I didn't, you want to hear what I didn't like?
Yeah, sure.
Like I said,
Everything.
I didn't like Richard Dawson's old man open mouth all the time.
Dawson had this really charismatic, but I'm also a guy, so I never had to worry about him trying to French me. But like anybody,
I would stay far away from
yeah,
him.
anybody who would want to grab someone by the whatever,
Yeah.
you know, Richard Dawson is their role model, because he just had this kind of like
Yeah.
over
Polyester.
huckster. I can talk, and you know, hey, what's going? We're all having fun here.
Pinky
I'm in
rings.
control.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So he was creepy. I mean, I don't really like him in Family Feud either, so
Yeah,
he's
which
just
again,
creepy, and I would
yeah,
stay
definitely.
very far away from him.
I get it.
I really didn't understand why the Running Man suits had they were like quilted on one side.
A lot of pads today.
Oh, they have
for like elbow
the
and knee
diamonds.
pads. Well, you've seen like for my pro wrestling, like some of my pads have like those hexes on them, and so I always thought it was that. It was like padding.
It looked like a bedspread quilt.
That's true, but which is not what any of
So
my
I
stuff
was like,
looks like.
yeah.
But I was like, okay, that's just padding that isn't very heavy.
Yeah. And then I already mentioned, like, you know, how they kind of treat Amber as she's like a corporate lady, right? So
But she works out.
she does work out in pantyhose. But anybody who was like that, like, they're going to be completely out of their element in that game. Why are we acting like she's such a pain in the ass?
I also liked how what happens often in these movies is like, oh, by the way, I'm a badass now. Like, I have zero training.
yeah.
And like, you know, and she does have a quote unquote kill, but it's like just a like kind of stroke of luck. You can kind of see that happening. And that's one of the other things just from a story perspective that I like. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger is, by today's standards in that movie, isn't like super buff, but back then he was.
I was actually looking at his buffness and like because I know that he was Mr. Universe, and he, like, in Hercules in New York, he's just like ridiculously like
so he's
built up, and so he was just kind of, he looked normal to me.
I like
movie.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was big, but I mean, so he's definitely big, but I like how, like, okay, he's a military guy.
Yeah.
And so we've established that, okay, maybe would be a good fighter and super strong.
Question about that, though. I heard that Arnold Schwarzenegger is actually, like, short.
He's shorter than he appeared. When he did Conan, there's a popular picture of, like, him with, like, Andre on one side and someone else on the other, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or something, and it's just like he is tiny.
Yeah. Well, but those guys are really super tall. So now I do have some questions. I don't understand. There was like several scenes where like they were betting, and I don't understand how, like, gambling I don't get, poker, you know, I just said all that, but like they just had a crowd of people shoving bills at them. How did they keep track of that?
I think they just wanted to have a scene with betting because people are always betting on these things, according to
So they just
movies.
wanted to show general betting.
Yeah, general betting and excitement. So.
Well, I just didn't. I was just like, again, having a panic attack. So I noticed that they kept giving the studio audience the home game, the Running Man home game.
Which I laughed every single time.
I just don't understand, like, how would you play that at home?
I think it would probably be like some sort of chutes and ladders, I would imagine, would probably be.
Oh, because there's a chute.
Yeah.
And there's ladders.
And there'd be ladders, so I think.
And you just light the game board on fire.
I think so. I would probably, if I was making that game, I would make it like one person is, you know, a couple people are the running men, and then a couple people are the stalker. And, but before, like, everything used to have a board game. Like everything would have a board game.
Don't get me wrong. I like my Jeopardy, I like my Trivial Pursuit, but like every time our 6-year-old wants to play a board game with me, I'm just like, oh my god, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how I love her, because I do it. And then just like my one note was like, does this show ever end? It seems like it goes on forever, and it's every day, and everybody's so excited about it. Even when there's like carnage, they're just like, yeah.
Well, I cannot believe you spent the time to find all the one-liners. Do you have a favorite?
I did.
Do you have a favorite one-liner from?
Yeah, I think my favorite one. Gosh, it's a tie. So when Fireball is one of the assassins that shows up, and he comes in a ball of fire, right? And then when he goes to blow him up, he's like, "How about a light?" And then he blows him up, and he's like, "What a hothead!"
Yeah, my favorite is the very. And I like it. I like those one-liners when they're like in response to what someone else is saying, rather than just like, oh, he had to split. So my favorite is like when at the very end when he confronts Killian, and Killian says, "Drop dead," and he just looks at him and says, I don't do requests. And then, I think that was my favorite of all.
Well, and then it made me wonder, like, because a lot of action movies are like this, where they have the lame dad joke one-liners. And we should look into it and see, like, was this the first one? Is this, like, the most blatant one?
Definitely didn't start it, but I think that's definitely.
Is this, like, the worst offender? Because it's like it felt when we were watching it, it felt like every 2 minutes there was one. So I was actually really shocked when I went back and read the entire script. I perused it, and there was I only have like a half a page.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's. I feel like it's pretty standard, for pretty standard action. Yeah, it's like, oh, there's something in it. I mean, because James Bond would do it all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of the action trope. Got it. So what would you say? So we always start off with like one of us double thumbs up, the other one double thumbs down. So how would you rank this movie?
I don't think that I would on purpose watch it again. If there was nothing else on, I was stuck on a plane or something, I might watch it and take a nap while I watched it. Maybe.
An emphasis on nap, I would imagine. So are you like?
And I think I'm gonna have to go with thumbs in the middle. Two thumbs in the middle.
That honestly.
I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's fine.
Okay, so yeah, honestly, I thought that was actually a little better than I thought. I thought we were going to stay with one thumbs down and one thumb in the middle. I thought was
I'm going to be fair because I did once I got into it, it was like, oh, okay, I'm watching this. Like which when I was younger and my dad would bring home like Black Rain or Casino or like whatever, and like I would
Tango and Cash.
I liked Tango and Cash, but like we would sit down and we'd be like, okay, we'll watch this movie, and or Red Heat or whatever. That's another one. Gosh. And I'd be like, okay, it's a movie though. I get to watch a movie, so let's watch it. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is cool. I like it.
Nice.
So it was, yeah, but that was because I was getting to watch a movie. So, all right.
Yeah, that's the first episode. I think you won.
I won.
Yeah, because Mannequin. I like Mannequin.
I never win.
You picked a good movie.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for watching The Running Man. I love that movie. So
yeah, you're welcome.
Even though you aren't a big fan, thank you for watching that with me. I appreciate
you know what?
it.
It wasn't that bad.
So
I mean, I don't ever need to see it again. It's not like my favorite, but yeah, it was fine.
All right, cool. Well, I think so. I think for next time. So we were just in 1987.
Yes.
And so.
Let's stay in the 80s.
It's
nice and warm.
And I've been waiting for this moment for about 10 years. Because I was shocked. One of the first presents I got you was a movie from 1985 that I loved. And I was sure that you would want to see. And that is, of course, the masterpiece, the slapstick comedy, which is Clue. I love that movie. And I was shocked when you were like, I've never seen that movie.
I'm not interested.
Which makes...
I don't want to play the game.
It's not the game. It's like...
I don't want to read the book.
Oh,
was it a book?
So good. It wasn't a book. But I am not liking the second half of this. But what monstrosity from 1985.
Oh my God, this movie was what I just based my whole little life on.
Oh wow.
Because I loved Madonna and I wanted to look like Madonna. Every time I would go spend the night at my friend's house, we'd get the Aquanet out and the red lipstick and the gloves and the jelly bracelets and the high heels that didn't fit, and I would dress up like Madonna. I wasn't allowed to listen to Madonna, though. I had to listen to Debbie Gibson because my mom didn't like the messages that Madonna...
And you were an electric youth, so it made sense.
Oh, my gosh, yes. So Debbie Gibson is fine. I liked Debbie Gibson, but I really wanted to listen to Madonna.
No, and I don't know the year, so there's a couple of Madonna movies during this time.
This is the Madonna movie, Keith.
Like a virgin? Like...
Desperately Seeking Susan.
I cannot... Oh...
I love this movie.
I do not want to see that.
Oh, you're gonna love it.
I highly doubt that.
Actually, you probably won't. But I love it, and this is how I'm gonna get you to watch it. So,
all right. Well, thank you very much for listening to our first episode.
Thanks for listening to us.
Let us know what you think.
Or don't.
Or don't.
I don't need any more critique.
You don't need your honesty. So if you like it, let us know.
I feel like I'm teaching a class and the principal's sitting there.
All right. So.
I'm just kidding. If you want to, that's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this, and
thank you for having us in your earbuds.
And yeah. So.
So till next time.
We
gotta come up with a like a stay classy San Diego, but not that. I don't know. We'll work on it.
Well, what we desperately need to have. Yeah, let us know if you have
You
a better
desperately need to seek Susan.
Wow. I think you need to get a clue. So with that, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.